Good morning. I'm Mehdi, and welcome to OETV's Crypto Dome. We're here with Adam Blumberg, co-founder at Interaxis. Adam, welcome back.
Oh, Mehdi, thanks for having me back, man. Good to see you again.
Mate, it's the last one of the year. What are we going to do next week?
Well, the way this year has gone, I'm going to be pretty happy to see that calendar turn.
Joe, I don't think you're alone in that one. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of upheaval, and
Yeah.
there's probably going to be a few red jumps, not red, orange jumpsuits thrown around as well in this universe of crypto as we're discussing.
Yes, there are probably a few people that are more glad than ever that calendar is going to change.
Yeah, that's for sure. And as always, there is much to talk about in the world of crypto. Uh,
Always.
and we're going to stay away from a couple of topics. We're not going to just dive in on the same old, FTX, SBF bashing that's been going on. And we all know where we stand with that. And more is kind of filtering out every day. So, tune in somewhere else if you want to catch up on the latest SBF drama. But as a slight aside, not quite fully away from it, let's have a look at who's benefiting. And right, hold on. Let me back up a second. I was chatting to my 8-year-old and I said to him, have you got an idea of what we should call our show today? And he just randomly threw out Crypt. And I'm like, that might kind of work. Crypto is crypto in a crypt, so that's kind of where we are. Is crypto dead? Is it going in a crypt? What do we do? What's next? Who's the beneficiary of everything that's happened with FTX and SBF and any other acronym?
Well, that's I applaud your 8-year-old for the alliteration there for taking that. It's better than creepy dough, which remember the congressman who painstakingly for months, I'm sure, sat on creepy dough in hopes of using it in the hearing and finally got to use it. So I think crypto in a crypt is much better than creepy dough.
But I did ask him afterwards. I said, "Do you know what a crypt is?" And he said, "No." I'm like, "Okay, so it's an accidental, title."
Man, don't sell your kid out like that. Don't do that.
I sold my 8-year-old out. I'm sorry. Yeah. But
yeah. So where do we go next? Like who's kind of taking up the slack? I guess is kind of what we've seen. I guess is FTX is no longer operating really, so there's not money going in. Hopefully at some point there's money coming out for those that had funds there. And you see Binance and Coinbase getting more money going in, that you see them doing more exchanges, you see them getting more fees and such. It's got to go somewhere. There's still interest, right?
Well, that's it. But are people too scared? And obviously Coinbase is trying to step up. Binance, there's a lot of hair on Binance, unlike my head as well. But is Coinbase kind of leading the charge in looking like the next white knight? And by the way, viewers are posting things as we're live on YouTube as well. London Duck saying that apparently I would look good in an orange jumpsuit. So thank you for that, London Duck. Orange might be my color. We'll see, but not in the wrong way. Sorry, Adam, what do you think? Coinbase, are they the beneficiary?
I think they are for now, because if you're going to get in, if you need an on-ramp and you need some place to trade your money that has quite a bit of liquidity, especially if you're in the US, you're going to use Coinbase at this point. You probably don't feel as comfortable with Binance. Your other options are Gemini and Kraken, and they just kind of don't have that the reach quite like Coinbase has had so far. So I think Coinbase is that company for now. They seem to have been completely on the up and up. They've kind of opened their hand and shown their reserves. They've shown their liabilities. And basically what they've come out and said is, look, we've been this boring company during this whole crypto run. Everyone's been complaining about how boring we are. And it turns out that boring is kind of important. As one of my friends, Matt, tells me when we're talking about Bitcoin, and every once in a while I tell him that Bitcoin's kind of boring. He goes, boring is what makes it beautiful sometimes.
I like that.
That's kind of the same thing with Coinbase right now, right? Like I feel comfortable utilizing Coinbase. Now, what we've also seen, Mehdi, is we've seen other on-ramps now to get people directly into DeFi or directly into what we call non-custodial wallets, where you can circumvent Coinbase or Binance or Gemini or Kraken or FTX and go straight into, what we call a wallet, this software, these kind of accounts that are not owned by any particular custodian, they're just owned by you. And there we're seeing the companies like MoonPay, even Visa potentially getting into the act of allowing us to go straight from your bank account or from your credit card into non-custodial wallets, which you ask, where are we picking up some of the slack? And that's where we're picking up some of the slack in terms of getting into crypto or into decentralized finance, is if I no longer have to go through an exchange like Coinbase to do so, then I have more and more options that I can go straight into my wallet.
I think that'll go a long way in putting people at ease. But, then what's the future for someone like Coinbase? Because obviously they're doing okay at the moment. They are becoming a solution, but their stock price certainly isn't reflecting, their future growth on this.
Right. And look, I don't look at stock values all that much, but you have to think that it reflects a few things. One is kind of all technology stocks are down. All stocks are down, right? All equities are down. With equities, it's, in my opinion, a lot of times it's less about the actual value of that company and more about, do people have the money to be putting in the stock market to make the prices go up? Is there someone else who's willing to pay more for it? And we haven't seen that in virtually any equities for quite a while. It's holiday time. We have inflation. We still have worries of recession. Well, I kind of feel like we're in a recession, even though no one in the government will completely admit to it. But we're kind of in a recession. And so all equities, all publicly traded stocks are getting hit. Plus, they have the specter of crypto on top of it. So Coinbase kind of has this double whammy for them right now, but they don't seem to be going in a negative direction, right? In terms of the actual company, I feel like they're really good with their custody. I feel like they're really good with not going so far into the technology that they're not trying to get really kind of cute with it. They're not trying to go with what's hot right now. They're just, for the most part, we're going to focus on getting people in safely, holding on to their crypto assets safely. And then a few other things, like they have their wallet, they have their institutional custodial solution. They launched their, Coinbase One, that basically says I can pay a monthly fee and not pay trading fees. So they're kind of going with different business models, different revenue models. But underneath all that is that boring of, we're just going to keep your money safe.
Well, and I think that goes a long way, especially when you're dealing with a lot of the institutional customers like they are as well. So,
right.
I think this will be I'm losing my language skills right now. It could be a slow grind back to where we were, but we're hopefully going in the right direction.
Speaking of I feel like we are, real quick, but I feel like we are kind of going in the right direction. There still could be some, in terms of like the value of crypto assets, there still could be some more drops. I don't know what's going to come out of like DCG and Genesis and some others, but we seem to have kind of turned a corner and saying, okay, we're away from this FOMO thing. We're away from like everything has to be completely speculative and 100x, and moving in a more positive direction, hopefully.
So, Adam, that kind of leads me into another big name in finance, Visa. Visa has come out and pledged $1 billion in Africa to accelerate digital transformation. Now, $1 billion is not necessarily the hugest amount of cash for Visa, but it's quite a significant investment in this for Africa. And, it's kind of on the right track for them. What do we think of the bigger kind of insinuations of this?
Well, I think we couple that with another thing that Visa brought out, if you want to talk about that. And we know that Visa has been pretty prominent in terms of adoption of blockchain technology and crypto technology. So you couple the two things, because the $1 billion investment in Africa wasn't necessarily for crypto or DeFi or blockchain or anything. It was specifically for digital payments, for digital infrastructure, things like that. But when you look at Africa, it's the fastest growing area in terms of crypto. You see where, when Visa made that announcement, they talked specifically about things like remittances, which is a great use case for Bitcoin and crypto. They specifically talked about digital currencies and the ability to get more participation in the economy. And that's so much of what crypto does. And you couple that with the fact that Visa has been very, very forward in understanding crypto technology and utilizing it, to the point that they've even started working with some crypto protocols to offer recurring payments straight out of your wallet. So if you have crypto in a wallet, not in a Coinbase account or in a Binance account or anything, but in a wallet, which is the technology we use to hold it, Visa is creating the technology that says I can do, my monthly recurring payments or something straight out of that wallet. I don't have to go to dollars in a bank and then make the monthly recurring payment. And in all that, what Visa is saying, that this is really important, right? Visa is kind of planting their flag and saying, we are not a credit card processing company. We're a company that moves money around, whatever form that money is in, and whatever computer system, whatever technological system we need to use to get the money from where it is now to where it needs to go efficiently, that's what we're going to provide. We're not going to sit back and go, we are a credit card processing company. All we do is move money from one bank to another. We move money from one person or one account to another, and we don't really care what that money looks like, and we don't really care what the underlying system is. We're going to use the efficient system, the safe system, and we're going to use the money in the way people want to use it.
That's pretty cool, actually, and it's what you've kind of been a champion for for as long as we've been talking. And it's more about the utilization. Shouldn't be seen as something where you can lever up and get 50x returns. It's not like a speculative asset. It should be a utilized asset, and that's kind of cool that Visa's taking that broad look at it. So very excited to see how this all pans out. Yep. What about a little pivot here to regulation, right? So we've all seen everything that's been happening with the House Committee and FTX and whatever. That's one thing. That's its own little circus show on the side. What's next in regards to regulation? Now, we know that FTX was speaking to them as kind of being an industry thought leader, etc. Is there anyone filling that void? I know Coinbase has kind of stepped in to a certain degree. Do we think that this is going to actually, we're getting some good guidance towards getting some regulation put into this at the moment, or are we going to be put back further, in your opinion?
Well, I feel like maybe we'll move forward because maybe it will be a kind of a group effort, right? It's not going to be one person or one company that is going to have an outsized influence, hopefully, right? Because if that's the case, then we aren't moving that far ahead of the system we have now, where we know there are a few organizations at the top, a few companies at the top that have an outsized influence. So hopefully what I've seen is different organizations like Coin Center and Blockchain Alliance and some other organizations that have kind of gotten together and said, we will help with the regulators. We will help you craft legislation that is good for security and safety and keeping people's money safe, but also fosters this innovation that we need. And they're really trying to help. Now, the question is Congress going to accept that? Again, we have champions in Congress like Representative Tom Emmer, who's basically said, we need to adopt this. We need to see what this technology can do because it's going to be really important. And then on the other side, you have Senator Warren, who just put in another bill, basically just trying to completely kill crypto because she thinks it's only useful for, terrorists and criminals. So we do have those two sides of Congress, but you have, in addition to Coinbase, you have other organizations. What we have to keep in mind, Mehdi, is crypto is such a global technology and a global financial system that you have other groups in the world that are regulating and legislating it in certain ways. And it's going to be really hard for the US in this case to be overly heavy-handed, right? Europe already has their rules that have started. Canada just launched some last week, which, by the way, the Canadian laws the Canadian laws are trying to regulate centralized exchanges and stablecoins, but not decentralized finance. They didn't really hit decentralized finance at all. They basically said, we're going to let that grow as needed. That's a little bit of what we've seen in Europe as well. Of course, Dubai is allowing all sorts of innovation. So this isn't something where we know with equities and with securities, the US is clearly the most difficult in the world, the most difficult regulation in the world when it comes to the traditional securities market. that can happen because the US can be this insular system for traditional securities. For crypto, it can't. A Bitcoin is a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin, no matter where I am in the world. And if it's regulated differently somewhere in the world, if the exchanges or DeFi or something is regulated differently, that's where the money's going to go. And that's where the people are going to go, because it's easy for me to take my wallet to live in another country, right? And do the work elsewhere. So the US is kind of going to have to see what other regions are doing and then count on some of these technology people to really help foster this innovation.
So that almost implies that it should be easier for the US to now start structuring some form of formal regulation, because as you mentioned, it's happening in other countries. If you go overboard in over-regulating, then people will go elsewhere and they'll start investing in crypto assets externally. And if they go under, it'll drive business back to the US. But if you keep it in line with existing, regulation, where it's comparable to different countries and what they have in place, then you're kind of walking that same line as the rest of the world, which kind of makes the most sense in this, right? You don't want to be outlandish on one way or the other.
Right. And I think we have to be a little bit cautious. The US has to be a little bit cautious. Everyone has to slow down a little bit and go, okay, what's the most important thing right now? Keeping people's money safe. Well, how do we make sure that on centralized exchanges that kind of operate like banks, that we kind of hold them to those kinds of rules? And the rest of the innovation we're going to have to kind of look at slowly, because it's not, as you said, we're not necessarily in this realm anymore where we're looking at everything to be 100x or 500x or something. It's not all speculation. Some of it is just useful. So how do you can't put your arms around the whole thing and say we're regulating crypto this way. Some of it's centralized exchanges where I want to buy something and hope it goes up. Some of it is stable coins. That's something that acts like a dollar. It is worth $1, but it is not actually issued by the US government. How do you regulate that? How do you regulate decentralized finance and exchanges such that they're not taking advantage of people, such that you maybe don't have these exploits and hacks like you've had? But they all have different purposes. And even in the traditional system, they're regulated by different groups. They have different sets of regulation. The problem is we've put the government and so many people have put their arms around crypto and said, this is all crypto. Therefore, we have to regulate it all at the same time. We need one massive 2,000-page bill. And that doesn't work because the technology serves different purposes.
I think, as we touched on it, with Canada doing it, a simple place to start would probably be around asset verification or segregated customer asset verification for these exchanges, right? That's a very simple step one to monitor and maintain. And I think that'll go a long way in putting people at ease as well.
Yep, I think that's the thing. And I think that's what crypto needs. Put people at ease, dipping their toe in and putting their money in. Don't have this worry of well, I have my crypto assets. I didn't do anything wrong, and yet my money's gone because 2 or 3 people basically took it. They basically took it and used it for something else. That seems very simple to do. So
let's try and restore some faith and comfort in the world of crypto assets. How about DeFi? So let's kind of like move on one step. What's the future of DeFi look like?
Well, the future of DeFi, it seems to be looking much brighter than it was. And if we go back to the summer of 2020, which we kind of refer to as DeFi summer, right? That's when a lot of these protocols took off. That's when people were making, 180%, 300% returns. And I'm not talking about a token going up in value. I'm talking about they were earning, quote, interest at those levels. And it was basically a bunch of, not to get into technicals, it was a bunch of mercenary money. It was money being moved back and forth quite a bit. And the few people that knew what they were doing made a tremendous amount at the expense of everything else. There was very little real innovation at that point. It was really just a lot of copying and pasting and doing the same thing, but promising higher returns on my protocol versus your protocol. Those days seem to have gone away. And a lot of that was because you would accumulate a whole bunch of value in your protocol, and all of a sudden the venture capitalists would come in with $10 million and you get to launch your token. And all of a sudden, I spin up some code today, and in 3 months, I'm worth $50 million because my code was decent and it came at a good time. Well, we don't have those days anymore. It seems like with decentralized finance, we're moving more towards actual applications. Actually, how are people in the world going to utilize the system to move money around, to move money to where it's more efficiently being used for real purposes, not to just move it around just to earn a higher yield. Okay, and I was shouting, back in 2020, the yield cannot be the use case. That is not the use case of decentralized finance. Decentralized finance, the use case is more people, more participation, being able to make my money more efficient because I don't have to ask the bank's permission to go do anything with it. I can do what I want with my money. And that I feel like is the direction that DeFi is going. It's getting safer, it's getting faster, it's getting cheaper to use. And so those are the directions I feel that DeFi is now going. It's gone through the same period that a lot of crypto did. They just wanted to raise a whole bunch of money and people wanted to be millionaires overnight. And they didn't really think down the road about what is this going to cause. And now we seem to have very thoughtful innovation around crypto and decentralized finance.
Well, it sounds like the future is definitely a little bit brighter than it could have been. So I'm glad to hear that.
Definitely brighter than this year. Right,
yes.
Right, brighter than 2022 in crypto. Just about anything is brighter.
Yeah, no kidding. Bring on 23 ASAP.
Yep.
Before we wrap, we touched on it a couple of times today about bringing some comfort level to the investor, right? Someone else is doing that as well. PayPal has partnered with Consensus for an easy way to buy Ethereum, and just store it, trade it, buy it, access it, sell it, use it. This is great. This is, again, I'm going to feel happier using an established platform like a PayPal than others, right? So this might draw in the people sitting on the sideline a little bit.
It might, and let's talk about this from two different angles, right? One is what you and I talked about earlier, is who's taking up the slack when in the wake of first Celsius and Voyager and now FTX, and this idea that now people are finally getting of, I want to custody my own assets, and that's kind of the direction this goes as well, right? PayPal, if I have money in my PayPal account, I can now go buy Ethereum in a MetaMask wallet. And that's why they partner with Consensus. Consensus manages the MetaMask wallet, which is the most utilized wallet for Ethereum. So that's the kind of the partnership. But keep in mind also, Mehdi, you have people all over the world that do business via PayPal, right? They've been using PayPal wallets, which is a PayPal account, right? I put money into my PayPal wallet or my PayPal account. I go buy something from someone else in the world that utilizes PayPal, and PayPal handles that transaction, right? It doesn't have to go be processed via credit card. PayPal's handling that entire transaction internally. So now there are people all over the world that have money in their PayPal accounts or PayPal wallets, and PayPal is now saying, okay, you can use that to go buy ETH through a MetaMask wallet. That's a big deal, because if my business is I live in some other country and I sell things, and PayPal is the easiest, cheapest way for me to get paid, and now I can use that to directly go buy ETH or several Ethereum-based tokens. That's pretty important, and that's pretty huge. That opens up, I don't know how much money is locked in PayPal accounts or PayPal wallets, but that's huge. And it also helps because if you talk to a lot of people that have PayPal accounts, because that's how they operate their business, there have been times where they have been completely locked because PayPal decided they violated something for some reason. They'll just lock their account. And it's the equivalent of them shutting down your bank account without telling you why, right? People use PayPal as a bank. Well, now if you can take that, if you have a PayPal business, you can take that and put it onto Ethereum. No, they can't shut your bank down anymore. Right now, you're your own bank at this point, which is kind of the point of crypto and DeFi, right? So we see PayPal kind of doing what we talked about with Visa earlier and saying, we're a payments company. We are not now. At one time, they were very territorial, saying we're not giving up this PayPal umbrella that we have. And now what they're saying is either, all right, we kind of have to because people are demanding it, or we see the future. And if we're going to be a payments company, that payment has to be money in the way most people see money at this time, and utilizing technology that is the most efficient technology. And they're kind of going the way that Visa is going.
Sounds perfect. We've got efficiency and comfort all in one conversation.
You know what? It's a perfect conversation for going into the holidays, right? We want to be efficient and comfortable.
It is. We can wrap that up and put a bow on it as well. That's a nice way to end our final Crypto Dome of 2022.
Yep, we're ending Crypto Dome 2022 with efficiency and comfort.
There we go. Adam, mate, I want to thank you for this year. It's been fantastic talking crypto with you. And I look forward to doing it in 2023. And I want to make sure that all of our viewers remember to check out financial advisors, especially watching. Please check out the links on the side to digital assets and crypto education for financial advisors. You can receive a certification in digital assets so you can better serve your clients. So don't forget to sign up. Thank you for watching, and to the team at Open Exchange, thank you for making all this magic happen, especially shout out for Stu Semonite, who's doing this right now. So, we'll be back in 2023. Adam, thanks again, mate.
Thank you.
And don't forget, good luck investing.